Good morning. It is October 15th. It's 9 o'clock, and we are here for our regular scheduled county commissioner meeting. We have all three commissioners present. We have our administrator, Mr. Danzel, and we have our clerk of the board. So at this time, we'll call the meeting to order and ask everybody to please rise and join in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, I'd ask the commissioners if everybody has silenced their phones because I have forgotten to do mine.
Thank you. I'd forgotten also.
There's a phone up here that I don't know who belongs to.
Well, just make a phone call on it. I
I'm
don't know
assuming
who's-
it's maybe Teresa's.
It might be Jen's. She was just here.
I got the write-up and I'll read it, but just for you to hear.
All right, first on the agenda is the adoption of the current agenda.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion, a second to adopt the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Takes us down to public comment. Is there anybody in the room for public comment? Anybody on the phones? All righty. Next, approval of consent agenda, which we have 5 items on the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 5 as presented.
Second.
Been a motion, and a second to approve the consent agendas 1 through 5. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Take this down to regular business, presentation, certificates of appreciation. And I believe we have one, correct?
Mr. Chairman, we have one currently. We will have one here in just a moment as well, but yes, I would like to, if I could, would you mind if I read?
Absolutely.
okay.
You want this down there to read?
No, I think that's, you got that.
And I got to admit, this is Melinda Didier. This is my sister-in-law that served on the Planning Commission for a great many years.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you knew her. No, on behalf of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, the Franklin County Planner, the Director of Planning, on behalf of the producers here and the developers who utilize the services of planning. I don't think a lot of people know how much go into planning. We would like Melinda Didier to please accept our deepest gratitude for the 15 and a half years of dedicated service you have given Franklin County by serving on our Planning Commission. Melinda was appointed on the Planning Commission starting on March 1st, 2020, and served until October 7th, 2025. Her experience, expertise, attention to detail, dedication, and professionalism is very much appreciated and will be very missed. In talking with Director McCart, he just wanted to pass along that she was a stalwart and that someone that 15 and a half years is not a short amount of time to try to go through all the different planning phases. And so with a hearty thank you and just a host of best wishes, we thank Melinda Didier for her 15 and a half years of experience. And now, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, if you're wanting to present that,
Yes,
maybe to Wes.
yes, because Melinda is not here. She has a job during the day, and this was extra effort on her part to come to this. She works in Benton County, and it requires a great deal of time from these people, and I appreciate their efforts and their time to serve. So, Mr. McCart, would you like me to present this to you, or would you like me to take this to Melinda myself? Yes, I will. I'll get it signed here by these commissioners, and I will take it to her personally. And the next, we have another certificate of appreciation for Renee. And could I get some help here on the last name? Rafidi. Thank you. And Mr. Danzel, if you would please.
Have her come forward.
Yes, and if you wouldn't mind, please approaching the lectern. Thank you. Mrs. Rafi, I have heard a long time about all of the accomplishments that you have had and how proud that you've made Franklin County. And I did so with trying to pronounce your name Raffaelli, and I apologize for that. So this is, again, on behalf of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of your jail chief, Keelan Harmon, and myself. Today, we recognize Renee Rafi. Renee's story begins in Tehran, Iran, where her family faced religious persecution. They left everything behind so she could have a future. That journey took her through Turkey, then Detroit. And you didn't become a Tigers fan. You were still a Mariners fan even then, I know. And ultimately back to Washington, where she chose to live a life of service at Franklin County Correction Center. Renee brings purpose to work every day. In her words, what gets me out of bed every day is a love for this job and love for my coworkers. I love to serve my community with them. Her resilience, professionalism, and heart truly embody our theme, Beyond the Badge. And speaking with Chief Harmon, his words, I believe, to me is, Mr. Danzel, I believe we found a diamond in the rough. And the Board of Commissioners and myself totally agree with that. So on behalf of Franklin County, it's our honor to present this certificate of appreciation to Renee Rafi in recognition of your dedication and service to our community. It's been one of the most heartwarming stories any of us have received in quite a while. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you.
Hang on, I'll present this. I'd encourage the other commissioners, again, to shake her hand. Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to serve this county.
Well, it's been an honor to have you serve.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I thank all of you.
Rocky, let's get a picture. Let's get a picture right here.
Absolutely. Sure.
With me in it? Or?
Yes, please. Yes, ready.
I like to make sure.
Okay.
Can you open this up? I lost it.
Chicken nuggets.
Chicken neck.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Again, I'm going to shake your hand.
Yeah, don't get used to it. No, I'm taking it to her.
Teresa, is this your phone?
Is that your telephone?
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's in front of Rocky's. All right, so takes us down to Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Danzel.
So, Mr. Chairman, if you're willing, before we get there,
Okay.
so it's been brought to our attention over a period of time that there's 2 cameras within this room that are on 24/7. And so I would move that we direct our administrator to have a disconnect installed between this camera above my head and the camera on the back wall, so that when it's time for us to go into executive session, that disconnect can be tripped so that these cameras are shut off while we're in executive session. So I would move that we direct our administrator to cause that to happen before our meeting next week, so that we can stay in this room and not have to go downstairs, so that our executive sessions can truly be private and executive sessions.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Oh,
Mr. Chair.
discussion, Mr. Danzel.
In conferring with legal counsel, we can do this. All we have to do is amend the agenda and put it on the agenda. So it's
Okay,
just,
so first
sorry about that.
the agenda has to be amended.
So I'll withdraw my motion, and Mr. Chairman, I would move to amend our agenda as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to amend our agenda or to add an action item. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 So then, Mr. Chairman, I would then remove to direct our administrator to have a disconnect installed on the two cameras that are in this meeting room above my head and the one on the back wall that are a part of the normal camera and security system, so that when we go into executive session, that disconnect can be tripped so that our executive session is truly an executive session and those cameras are turned off.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to instruct our administrator to have the cameras above our head and at the back wall to be inoperable during our executive sessions. Is there any further discussion?
I think this is necessary for some of the things that have happened in the past and for our executive sessions to truly be executive sessions where we can speak about whatever matters are necessary within executive session, and would like to see this done by next week's meeting.
And I agree, because there has been situations where we have received text messages about what was being discussed in our executive sessions, which means that they were not privately being conducted. So I agree wholeheartedly, and that needs to be done. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Takes us down to Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Danzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Typically, I'll have prepared remarks during this, but today I kind of just wanted to talk about the budget workshop, and that we appreciate everybody making time in their schedule to come and be able to present to us. The one thing I'll say is that there's an enormous delta that's taking place with every workshop hearing, because we started off at not too bad of a position when it comes to what our cash position was, but there have been significant requests. Some of them I think that we need to look at, and some that we don't. But really, a lot of the work in the past week has been leading up to trying to get ready and wrap our mind around the budget workshops. Outside of that, and I think I mentioned this yesterday, but a huge kudos to Tim Anderson and the accounting staff. I would be remiss if I didn't mention some of his cohorts up there that make life possible for us to do this, even with the gravity payment system. And then I want to thank the elected officials and department heads for being responsive to that request. This year, we were able to have everybody get their information in a timely fashion. And so I just wanted to say that I think that the workshop process so far has been pretty seamless and pretty smooth compared to what I viewed on our YouTube videos from years ago and in the past of what had happened and what had transpired. And then finally, just to say also too that that we have an opportunity, I think, with where we're at financially speaking, some of the things that are happening next week when we hear from certain other elected officials regarding tax title properties, but also some potential cost savings to where we're in a position right now that we really can't accommodate a bunch of extra spending. And I know we've talked about this, but here, the point that I'd like to make is, I do think that the requests are legitimate. I think that they're not out of order necessarily, and I think that there are some requests that have been made that have been legitimate. I hope we can look at those and examine those and see if there's a way for those to pencil out. But if there isn't, I just wanted to let you folks know that that's kind of what this process is you start off with your baseline where we were $8,000 away from being able to balance the budget. Mm-hmm. And with all the, when you see the request on the right-hand column, however much that amount is, that's how much further away you get from that 48,000. And so compared to last year, and I just wanted to be fully transparent, compared to last year is like $1.8 million was your beginning issue. So I feel like we're in a better spot because of the actions you all took with financial policies and the procurement policies and the, not the financial, the hiring freeze and some of the other resolutions and initiatives that you all had me pass and that you all had me work on. or that you all passed that you had me work on. I think that the biggest unknown as we move forward is something that was spoken of by all of you, actually, and that is that we also don't know what the cost of living adjustments and the healthcare, and I'll add into that, I don't think we fully know what risk insurance increases there's going to be across the board. So just kind of a heads up on that, while it looks like we're not as bad off as we are with the radio requests, with the amount of requests that are probably needed, but also looking at like what our sales tax revenue is, looking at what new construction is, looking at how, I just hit that, looking at how tax increment financing works and how long it takes to receive and really utilize those funds. Just be aware of it. And, but I've been proud of both sides here. I feel like this has been very businesslike, and that's my report really for this week, is I've been just pretty deep into the budget workshops. Moving forward, there's only a couple things that I wanted to talk about that might be enticing to you. I got a phone call from Kirk Pearson, and March 26th, we are having one of 5 rural prosperity summits. That's in the books. And so what you can expect, and that's going to happen at Pasco. I've already gotten a hold of Mike McCall. They're going to put on a nice program for us. But you're going to have secretaries of agriculture, secretary of interior come by. You're going to have the Small Business Administration, HUD, Housing and Urban Development, and not just regional appointees, but actual like secretaries and undersecretaries. They're thinking to come in and triage areas of the United States that for whatever reason have been kind of left behind. And so I'm really excited about our outlying areas of Connell and Mesa and Pasco. I mean, one of the areas too, one of the things that's interesting is what is considered rural, and the federal guidelines combined to what us country boys think of as rural versus urban. But there's still a lot of rural components and elements to the city of Pasco. And so March 26th, I have been reaching out to all of our partners. And that's what they want us to do. I've been included now in their planning documents and their planning team so that we can bring this home. And so that's when I knew it was going to be a little bit more real instead of just a statement. And so we've got it locked down, March 26th at the Hapo Center. I think it would be lovely if one of our commissioners at least could give opening remarks to welcome these dignitaries to our area. And then I was also kind of wondering, what I would like to set up, not just March the 26th, kind of my idea is while we got him here, I would like to set up some personal time with you gentlemen and potentially have you do like you did with Kirk Pearson, where you were able to go and tour some of these areas. And this time, instead of just having it be USDA Rural Development, it'll be USDA Rural Development, USDA Farm Service Agency, USDA Risk Management. It'll be the Small Business Administration. It'll be the Department of Interior. We'll have people here. You'll have people from Housing and Urban Development. You'll have people from the entire host of federal families. And so I think it's something that we should be incredibly proud of, that as one of 5 of these summits that are taking place across the entire nation, Franklin County, Washington was chosen as one of them. And that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Danzel. That is quite a report and very uplifting. Commissioner Bauman.
Thank you, Brian, for your hard work on that. I know that you've put a lot of time and effort into helping coordinate that, and so thank you for that. And however I can be helpful between now and then, happy to do it. And at that time, I'm sure that we can figure out a way to, get whether it's a transit bus or a van or something. I'm sure that there's a way that we can, find a way to give people tours and so forth. So
Sure.
I'm happy to be a part of that. And if we need to do it in a Cybertruck, I'm the guy.
I have had now 3 requests for a ride in the Cybertruck.
Hey, let's go.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My report's fairly brief. Went to the Mental Health Advisory Board meeting last week, where I shared my concern of the scope creep and the growing volume of, or not volume, but the growing cost, and expressed my concern of how that I don't know how that our community is going to be able to fund and pay for. They confirmed at that meeting that there is going to be 144 full-time employees needed to operate that center. And if you, I have asked over and over and have not received, I don't know what it's going to cost to operate that facility. And if you take the average cost per employee to Franklin County and you apply that number to the cost of 144 FTEs, that number is in the $15 million range. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to cost to run that, but if you take Benton and Franklin County together, the mental health sales tax that both counties collect collectively, that number is between $9 and $10 million. And from the information that I have from just using generic numbers times 144 employees with a payroll of nearly $15 million, that doesn't count keeping the lights on and the water flowing. I'm gravely concerned about the Columbia Valley Center for Recovery and the cost of operating that facility. We have an opening date, and we don't have a contract in place for Comprehensive, who was announced nearly 18 months ago that they were going to operate this facility. They're saying it's going to be $3.75 million to start it up, and that was shared with us last week at our board meeting. And so I just expressed some of our concerns with the Mental Health Advisory Board, and our administrator, I know, is going to be communicating with their chairman, BJ Olson, about some of the concerns that I have. So I would encourage you, if you have concerns or questions with that, that you would get with our administrator, so that when he corresponds with the chairman of that board, that we can, in writing, get our questions answered. Also went to the Ben Franklin Transit Board meeting last week. And, of course, this week we have been all together working in budget workshops, and so I'll leave that as my report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Mullen.
So also attended the health advisory meeting remotely, and then this week's just been in budget meetings. So that's my report.
My report was Columbia Snake River irrigators last week, and they were concerned about the pools behind the dams where the farmers, because that's what they are, the Columbia Snake River irrigator farmers, about the possibility of drawdowns to the point where their pumps will cavitate or suck air and then shut off. So, and they were concerned because President Trump signed a memorandum instead of an executive order, and they can't understand why he did that. And I think we need to try to make contact with the right person, set up a virtual meeting to where we can urge. I mean, we've tried to go through our congressman. It's not working. But Mr. Danzel, you got connections, and I think that we need to work on trying to make an effort to show the importance of this, because there's a lot of people's livelihoods that are depending on it, and it's big. Meeting with Tim Anderson, and again, I'm with you. I think Tim is just an asset for this county. He is incredibly gifted and working with numbers, and I just so appreciate Tim Anderson. And of course, our agenda meeting, and Mr. Danzel, I just want to say thank you, because I've worked now with, I believe, 4 administrators, and hands down, you're incredible. What you get done, how fast you can respond to a situation and be as productive as you are as the administrator. I can't thank you enough for coming down here from your home and helping us out in Franklin County. Thank you. And that's the end of my report. With that, do we have any correspondence?
We do. There are 2 pieces that I'd like to mention today that are not, they didn't make the agenda, but these are kind of cleanup items. The first is the prosecuting attorney's office is going to be on the agenda coming up to ask for a rate increase on one of their employees from a 13.1 to a 13.3. And then, in addition to that, we are still kind of in a holding pattern. This isn't any new correspondence, but it's an update on old correspondence. We're still in a holding pattern on IS for bringing in temporary help. So I just didn't want you to think that that had left the lexicon here and that I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that.
Okay. All righty.
And can I just say something real quick?
Absolutely.
It's been my high honor to come down here. I consider Franklin County my home. I've enjoyed working with everybody. I enjoy our meetings. I enjoy being able to work with the staff, and we've got such fine people and such great people that what I really appreciate about this board, and I don't think it gets enough credit for, is that you're trying to foster an atmosphere here where people can thrive. And that's not just the people outside the courthouse, but inside the courthouse and everybody that's a member of Franklin County. And so that's, it's really been an honor and a pleasure. It's an honor to work with our legal counsel Briggs. I think I probably, from time to time, I'd probably give you an ulcer or two, especially with the Smarties. But we've got a good team here, and I should have expanded on this in my update, but one of the things I did do when I was in the administration was try to build teams. And I wouldn't start over building the team right now for nothing, the way it is right now. And that's with all of our idiosyncrasies and everybody not 100% on board or anything like that. But that's how boards ought to be. You know, you start worrying when everybody's in lockstep and in agreement all the time. That's when you really got to worry. And so I just appreciate you, gentlemen. It's been a blast. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any reason for an executive session?
No, could I briefly speak? on
Absolutely,
something?
Mr.
Okay,
Briggs.
thank you, and good morning, Board Chair. I missed a golden opportunity yesterday during the budget presentation to give a shout out to my support staff, and I wanted to do that now. I think, when we're looking at things and we're trying to change things in our budget, we're always looking at what's wrong and what needs to change, and oftentimes you overlook the things that are going well. And we have excellent support staff in our office. They've been understaffed here for several months now, and I don't hear any complaints from them. They come in, they're shouldering extra work and just shouldering that burden and taking it in stride and making sure that the wheels of justice keep turning. And both on the criminal and civil side, I'm just so impressed by their work, and I was remiss yesterday in not mentioning that, so I wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
Thank you, Mr. Baumann.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wanted to just let my fellow commissioners know that I had an idea that I've been working with our administrator on, and think that it would be wise for us, in light of the some of the stuff that's been happening in Franklin County over the last 12 months, last 6 months, that we would maybe have a media availability day where that we would answer some questions and do that. So have asked Brian to help prepare. Certainly doesn't need to be me, but I think it would be wise for us to do something of that nature. So have asked for his advice and help in potentially crafting something of that nature where that we would, be available to answer some questions and tell the story in front of the media, not necessarily in this format, or that it's a structured meeting, but where that there's opportunity to answer some questions. And so just been visiting with him about that, and we'll give you kind of an update if we get something kind of put together, but just let you know that that's something that we're talking about. So thank you.
I don't mind doing that, but I don't think we need to explain what we're doing. I think it explains itself down the road. There's hard decisions to be made sometime, and when they're made, people will understand down the road why we made those decisions. It's not done without a great amount of thought and discourse. So we're not making any decisions without thoroughly looking at all avenues.
I
This board.
I agree with you. Just to give you a little further thought there, I think it'd be good to give our media a tour of the jail, maybe even so that they can see the broom closet, and you know, have to see that this facility is under excellent leadership. It's being run well. It's clean. It's organized, and it's being managed well. And that hasn't happened in a very long time, where there was the opportunity for them to see. So I did approach Chief Harmon and ask for his insight and thought on that. He thought that would be a good idea, and so don't know that it is going to be an all-encompassing free-for-all, but think it would be good for us to answer some questions and provide opportunity to see what is happening. And I agree with you. We don't have to tell in advance things that are decisions that are in front of us necessarily, but I think it would be good for us to show some of where we're at today.
The pluses, and
Absolutely.
and Harmon, Mr. Harmon has done an incredible job with that jail, and I think that needs to be showcased.
Absolutely.
That was the gist of it. It revolved around the jail.
Gotcha. Now it's sort of explained. And Mr. Danzel, with this March 26 meeting with Kirk Pearson and USDA, is there any way that we could possibly bring in, and I don't know if it's a possibility or not, but somebody from the Attorney General's office about what this state is doing to our OPD and our PA offices? We have got to get a grip on this. This is going to bankrupt a lot of counties if we don't.
From the state attorney general's office?
No, the
Oh,
federal
Department
Attorney
of
Gen-
Justice.
Yes.
That'll be a taller task.
I know.
But we'll see what we can do there. The issue is on that, is that
It may already be being done. I don't know, but
yeah.
we are. This is bankrupting us.
Let me just say this. I think we're on their radar.
I hope so.
So typically it's called a Rural Prosperity Summit. And so it's usually going to be the agencies that have funding mechanisms available to local communities.
Right.
You know what I'm really looking to do out of it, to be honest? I want to get a sewer in Colotus. You know what I mean? I want to get, some of the stuff that we've talked about here ad nauseum taken off the plate, and it's really hard when you have, I'm just going to say it because it deserves to be said, but there's a redundancy like in economic development. You've seen it. You've allocated monies to certain organizations that'll do certain different things, and they kind of like fall over each other. What I'd like to see is a coordinated plan from the decision makers at the top, where they can say, hey, listen, we've got broadband internet, we've got a group working on that, but what we need is a sewer in Colotus.
And pullouts on these roadways. We got to
Yeah.
have safe roadways.
All the stuff that, and I'll tell you on that we're on target. You know why we're on target is because if we do this right, you're about ready to hit your second year in a row with not hitting the road budget.
That's right.
And another thing that I don't want to steal Craig Erdman's thunder, but I think there's a possibility that he may put those pullouts on the 6-year transportation improvement plan. And so when you do that and you've got full funding and you're able to go through the funding first, guess what? If that's on the actual plan, that might be something that, so I temper that just because tomorrow we have Mr. Erdman here. And I know the pullouts are a huge thing, and I've been behind the equipment too, and it's seriously an important issue. And I think that he's going to come up with, I think he's going to have a option for you for how we can go about doing that.
And I think we could lead the way for the state because Highway 17 is in desperate need of these also.
Yeah, they say it's interesting. I always hear, I used to travel both the most dangerous states and or highways in the state because it's a competition between Highway 17 on this side of the state and Highway 18, Tiger Pass, the cutoff to go to Olympia. And you've all done that. And so you know that also is pretty dangerous. But what they don't have and what we have is all the farm turnouts. We've got all the ag production that's taken place. There, it's a bandwidth issue. They need more room and they need more infrastructure. Here, the truth of the matter is that it's not necessarily an infrastructure and bandwidth problem. It's a problem of, the state has forced all these unfunded mandates onto the counties and onto the, even robbing money from the Department of Transportation to the point where they're unable to do these things. And again, it's worthwhile talking to like a Craig Erdman or a road engineer, because there's a certain point past, like if you don't do work to paved road, you got to start over.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do some of these preventative and ongoing measures, you can preserve that pavement for another 50 years. And so that's kind of where we've got to be looking at. We've got to be looking at, let's preserve what we've got. Let's be a thorn in the side of the Department of Transportation on Highway 17. You know, we did one letter. There's a part of me that says that why don't we do a letter a month
Well,
until
we oughta-
something happens.
We ought to have the Eastern Washington Council of Governments, every county send a letter to the Department of Transportation requesting that they really look at this.
Yeah.
Yesterday on my way home, I forgot again, and I went up Glade Road where they're doing that resurfacing. And when I got to the other side, there was 50 trucks, and we're at the end of harvest. There was 50 10-wheelers and semis that were loaded with cars going the other way. They went clear almost to Self-Landing.
Yeah.
That's how much traffic is on Glade Road.
Yeah, oh, I know. I purposely take 395 and cut over if I have to take, because it's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, hope I answered your.
You
I think we
did.
keep putting our foot on the gas. I think that,
Yes.
and then the other thing too is that we talk to our local state reps, our state senators, and we talk about the capital budget, and we say, you know, part of the grand bargain when the last two gas taxes were approved were two things. The rural arterial program was going to be strengthened. It hasn't. That's the gas tax portion that comes to us. And the danger routes were going to be taken care of, and that's Highway 17 and 18. And they've started on Highway 18. If you go over there, they've got multiple passing, kind of like on the Palouse Highway where they're getting more and more of the passing lanes, and then eventually it'll be a 4-lane there, you know, a 2-lane each way. But yeah, I think we just got to keep the pressure on.
There's an old term out there on the farm. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So we just keep squeaking.
But, you know, I said that to my dad once, and you know what he told me in response? He says, sometimes it does, and sometimes it just gets replaced.
Well, I'll keep squeaking then.
I'm kidding you.
Okay, we got other business. Is there any other business? I don't. Okay. And
Comment.
we have public comment. Is there anybody for public comment? Thank you.
Thank you, County Commissioners. I watched the budget meeting yesterday, even tried to call in. I think a lot of things are on the right track. I think some of you have gotten the letter that there are pop-up, unapproved food trucks in Yakima that when they started getting violent when they were getting ticketed. They had to take the police with them. And when they tracked the license plates, it led back to a trafficking organization in California. And I'm very curious why our public Benton Franklin Transit has vans that are licensed in California as well. But two things. I have a petition addressing the Supreme Court ruling. It's a constitutional right to redress grievances with your government, and those constitutional rights, if they are not adhered to, result in a referral to the DOJ when it's the U.S. Constitution. And that's what Amendment 1 gives us, an opportunity to use this tool we have not used. And I ask again for a workshop. The other one is the invasion. That's the one I would like to talk to you about, Mr. Mullen, because that's an invasion. We have those same trucks here popping up at night. They are people the cartel has brought in, and now they got to pay the cartel back. And they're opening trucks right under our noses. And the constitutional relief is telling that the naturalization process is designated by the federal government. The state is on the hook constitutionally to enforce that and to bring a militia to defend it, which means the Second Amendment says we have to have guns that are adequate to defend an invasion, not less bullets in the gun and all of that. And I have 2 petitions. I have 12 total going on 13 and 14 as everything keeps on ticking by. And I'm doing this for you. I'm bringing this a tool to you for my county, for my sense of safety, and to turn this state around, because when you're in a minority, you still have the Constitution. And I'm not just, oh, I love the Constitution. This is a reality that has teeth. Amendment 14, Section 3 is not about losing liberty or property or your life. It's a banishment from office. And what we want to do is have a committee of people that will review that for you at zero cost, virtually, to the county, and bring you along where this is found in the Constitution and the historical documents like the ratification debates. This is not something I'm just passionate about and want to make a big name for myself. I could care less. I want my state back. And I think you do too. And I could stand here and breach your 3-minute thing, because when I talk about constitutional redress of grievances, you can't abridge that right. You can't. And I'm grieved at some of the things going on in our county, because it takes a consortium of the people, our leadership and our government. That's who we redress grievances to. And then you take our grievances, and we have, very similar to initiatives, we have a collection of petitions, and that is exactly what Tulsi Gabbard, I'm going to finish, Tulsi Gabbard used to take people out of the circulation, receiving those 37.
Mr. Chairman, the bell
No,
rang.
you cannot abridge my right when I'm talking about Constitution. That is against the Constitution. That's against the Constitution. I will finish.
Mr. Chairman, this is out of order.
No, it isn't. When I'm talking about the
Ma'am,
Constitution.
please sit down.
No. No. No, sir, this is
Mr.
about the
Chairman, would you
Constitution. You
please
cannot abridge my rights.
Move to
that puts
recess
your office
to bring
in it.
order to this room.
No, sir, just let me finish.
Okay, then we are going to recess for 5 minutes. and
Then
we'll
you just
come back.
violated the Constitution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we have come back from the recess and we are back into regular meeting. Do we have any other business? No other business?
Not under regular business.
Okay,
Very short workshop.
yes, but I will adjourn the meeting and we will immediately go right into our workshop. I'll call the workshop to order. I look for approval of the workshop agenda.
Mr. Chairman, move for approval of the workshop agenda with one item as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the workshop agenda, one item, overtime management and pre-approval policy. And at this time, we'll go into public comment. Is there anybody for public comment on this? Seeing none, Mr. Danzel, proceed.
We have those to hand down. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, and so you should have this before you. Very quickly, this is something that you all had asked me for, which was the overtime management pre-approval policy. And basically, just the crux of the situation is exactly what it sounds. Sometimes you don't have to take long, drawn-out descriptions, right? But in practice, what would happen is for the folks that are looking to go over their overtime, they would just need to fill out they'd have to request it and get approval, at least for the departments that we oversee.
The department head or the elected would give the approval of it. Their signature
Yeah.
would give it to it.
So in my case, I should probably walk that back. The elected officials that the Board of Commissioners oversees would require that.
Right.
And then Jeff, I don't know, I guess the question for me, Council Briggs, and I'm getting better at that, by the way,
I do the same thing
Yeah.
with everyone too,
Yeah.
so don't worry about it.
would be that I don't know that, can we impose that on every county of any department?
That's tricky. If it's within a line item budget of an elected official, they generally control that until that line item is exhausted. So if it's specifically within a line item of an elected official, you would either need to amend their budget or have some other means of
Yeah.
but certainly with anyone who's directly under the Board of County Commissioners. you
So
could
a
implement
question for you, kind of expounding on his question. If we were to pass a resolution that said the elected or department head had to be directly approve overtime,
I think I'd have to look into that more, but just kind of shooting from the hip, looking at this generally, again, if it's within the line item of an elected official's budget, they generally get discretion on that. So if it was amended some way, I don't even know if overtime is a separate line item from wages, but if it were, that would certainly make it easier to amend any elected official's budget to
So-
restrict overtime.
if they exhausted their line item and they come back and ask for additional and we say no, then what?
That could be a problem. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, and it's one of those typical lawyer, it depends type of answers. But generally, then that would mean you couldn't spend any more money. But if there's an unforeseen expense that's within the duties of the elected official that somehow triggered overtime, then potentially they could still, spend the money to sort of achieve that objective.
So that would
I have
take
to look
away
at that.
that would take away the legislative authority of this board. So how does that work?
There's case law on it that I need to look at, but that's kind of the crux of it. Is you're sort of seeing two elected authority sort of colliding, and the courts are trying to play referee there. But I guess what it boils down to is an elected official also has statutory duties to achieve certain objectives. And if there's some type of unforeseen expense, it's not within a line item, there is case law that suggests that they could spend in excess, and it wouldn't be, because if it was an unforeseen exigent type of scenario and they spent beyond their line item, that becomes a personal obligation of the official. So it's a very serious consequence. So I need to, do some more digging, but it's a very fact-specific analysis we're talking about here.
Mr. Denzel.
Well, and frankly, that's why I wanted to start doing these end workshops for this reason right here, so that we
Yeah.
can have these conversations and we're not just coming under the gun. But the other thing too is, and I don't know, Jeff, if the other part of it is, if they work overtime, we have to pay it. That part is, that you can't get out of that.
I
So,
think what we need to be doing then is making sure that if they exhaust the funds that have been allocated to their department,
yeah.
then they got to come ask for funds. If we don't want to grant them funds, then there's no overtime that can be worked.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing would be is, and this can be done nicely, but you can say that we are instituting a overtime policy. We would like for you to institute an overtime policy, and we will take into consideration if you exhaust your overtime line items and haven't been sticking to this, that'll all go into our decision making at that time. And so it kind of preloads that, like, hey, if you're not willing to do this so we can track it, that's fine. You have the autonomy to do that. But just when you come back in and ask for a budget transfer, that the budget transfer is likely going to come from within your own budget.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to cut positions or cut this or cut whatever to be able to pay for the,
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree. I'm glad you're bringing this stuff up, because this is some things that need to be discussed, and
Yeah.
we need to have this in order, so if it does happen, we have a plan of attack.
But does that make sense? I think this will
Yes.
get there'll be some, and I wanted Jeff's buy-in too, really. I think this will be a better process for being able to get all this out a week before, and then the following week, and we'll do this, try to make this every week, where we're giving you, a policy that whenever I identify one or you identify one that looks weak, or we need to, a lot of it, you know what a lot of it is? A lot of it's updating RCWs.
Yep.
A lot of it is policies were made back in 2005, and it's been 20 years since then. So we got to go back and look at what some of the new updates and limits and maxims are. And anyway, long story short, and I'll quit talking, but I think that this is the best way to go about it, is to kind of approach it on week one, and then week two, set it for either, if there's no question at all, then put it on the consent agenda. If there's question like this, back and forth, I think it probably needs to, like, the prosecuting attorney's office needs to take a look at it, and then we reconvene as a regular business item, we discuss it, and we vote it up or down.
Yes.
So as we approach, or as we are now in budget workshops, and then we approach the adoption of the 2026 budget, is there a way to tie this, as you described, to the individual departments' electeds' budgets, so that they recognize as you described? I'm just trying to, I'm thinking about the legislative authority of this board and the allocation of funding, and recognizing that we can't get into the individual operations of an individual department, but it is our, as we get reminded regularly, the purse strings are the responsibility of this board, and wondering how to do that. I am not opposed when necessary to do overtime, but we've all heard the examples of people that have, whether it's a government job or a corporate job or whatever, they'll give me all the overtime I can handle.
Yeah.
In other words, as much as people want to work, we don't have that ability here, because we don't have the funding to do that. And we're trying to be very responsible so that we don't have to lay anybody off, so that we can do this, and want to make sure that we're being appropriate with what we're describing, and saying, hey, if it's not necessary, there is no overtime, period. And how do we say that? How do we say that properly, recognizing that we don't get to tell the PA's office, we don't get to tell the sheriff how to run their office, but we got to say, look, we don't have this money. We don't have it.
I think what you say is, we don't have the money, your bottom line amount now is, after review and consideration, and then it's just that simple.
Yep.
So, like, in other words, if you're not willing to work with us on certain things, that kind of tells a story, right? If there are monies that their people aren't wanting to really look at, or if they're not wanting to look at certain line items, then my way of doing it is just not the most popular, again, but it gives you the best idea of how much money's actually being spent. You roll the 2025 budget into 2026, and then you make them come get a budget amendment. Because the inflation alone will make them run out of their money earlier. So it's unpleasant. You don't want to do that. So what I would recommend is just that everybody does it. And that we mention it during our budget hearings and workshops that, we are going to be rolling out this plan. We would like to see, this happen. And if not, and if you're not wanting to do that, then I guess we have considerations and decisions to make as well.
Yes.
You have your choices to make on whether you want to do that, and we have our choices to make on how much to fund you. And that is unpleasant, but that's the answer that I would give you.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
That's our only course.
That's our recourse. We've been reminded of that many times.
So this is a workshop today, possibly be on the agenda next week,
Could be,
or the 2 weeks.
there's a couple other, we have a financial policies that we need to get across the finish line. So that's going to be the one that I'm going to focus on this next week, once we get past the budget workshops. And so that's what I would really like to do, is focus on that. And then be able to get the financial policies, because that'll help you too. A lot of the questions that were just asked.
Yes.
You set financial policies, and it won't allow for it based on all the other attributes. If we're going to reach a $1.4 million reserve, if we're not going to touch the road fund, if we're not going to get ourselves into a precarious financial position, you just can't have overtime anyway.
And you
Right.
got a board of commissioners here that are pretty adamant about not raising taxes,
That's right.
because the people out there are hurting enough. All right. So with that, is there any more discussion?
Not for me.
We got public comment on this issue. Is there anybody in the room for public comment?
Commissioners, I thought as an elected I'd at least come up. I don't know about the other departments. We have a policy in my office that either myself or one of my managers has to approve anything that's going to be overtime.
There you go.
What's that?
I said, there you go, you're done.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Now, if there are departments abusing it, by all means, you need to do something. But don't punish the other departments with over-restrictive guidelines either. Take a look at what we do. In 5 years, my department's used less than $2,000 in overtime, and we were able to absorb it in our regular time budget. So it's pretty minimal. If there are problems, somehow address it, but do it properly, like council was speaking. First thing I did when I came in is I put in a policy that says you don't work overtime, you don't get it approved unless management does it ahead of time, period. We approve it ahead of time. Now, if somebody was in the field and they're out in the middle of the other side of Clotus and their car breaks down and it's going to take them into overtime, I'm going to pay it, right? But it's going to come out of my regular budget. I'm going to absorb it, and I'm going to make sure that we're as frugal as can be. So I just thought I'd throw that out, from at least one other elected's point of view.
This is public comment, so we'll wait till the public comment's done, and then we can discuss. Is there anybody else for public comment? Discussion, final discussion on the topic, and I'd like to lead off. I believe that everything he said is in this. He is complying with everything that we're going to do. So as
Yeah, I
long
think
as you
that-
don't go through the amount of money allocated in your department, we have no problem with it. But when you do, then you got to come to us, because we are the
And
commissioners.
the thing, it wasn't to provide the county commissioners the overtime. It was for the electeds and the department heads to sign off on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not opposing it, I just wanted to make a comment
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, I agree that everything you said, I believe, is encapsulated in this document. And don't want to tell you how to do you, just trying to look down the road and, knowing, some of these other counties and their deficits and saying, we're going to do everything in our power not to be that, not to do that. It's already tight enough, and looking down the road as we approach 2026 and knowing how we're going to try to do, some of the reserves and not touch the road, and we're going to have to thread a needle that's going to be hard to thread.
Just want to say thank you for being proactive.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All righty, any further discussion? Seeing none, the workshop is now closed. And do we want to try to do anything on budget not? Okay. Oh, there is a closed session? Yes. We have a closed session?
That starts right now, right?
Yep.